Hi everyone, welcome to video 11. We spent a wonderful day in Notasulga, Alabama, and are now in Montgomery, and tomorrow we are going to Mosses. So we got to Notasulga in the early afternoon and did a time change from Georgia to Alabama, so we're back an hour now from everyone in Virginia. It's 9 p.m. here, but it's 10 p.m. there, right? Yes. So, we're tired, but we're making it happen. Today was another rainy day, but it didn't really bother us much today. It kind of rained off and on sporadically, but never continuously, so we didn't get soaked. We just kind of stayed damp all day. So then we got into Notasulga, and I was wearing my Alabama pants, right? And we parked, and we were gonna go up and talk to this guy who's sitting on his porch. And he goes, first thing he said, anything anyone in Alabama has said to us, he goes, once I had a Cadillac convertible that was the same color as those pants. See? My Alabama pants, they're pulling through. So then we struck up a conversation with him. His name is Sam. And we went into his shop, and he hand carves birdhouses. And he makes birdhouse music boxes, and he makes little birdhouse like fronts for like different people, and they can like commission a birdhouse front, and he'll make it look like their house. Or he was telling us a story about this one guy who was moving and actually took a board from the house he was moving away from and used that to make his birdhouse front. So that was really neat. And also Sam has tons of figurines. And I was like, I have to know the story. So when Sam is commissioned, or sometimes just brought with inspiration to make things like a wedding birdhouse or an old-time western town birdhouse, he will actually collect figurines and go to all like thrift shops and collect them to put in them and set them up. There weren't any set up there for us to see, but there were all the figurines on the shelves. And I was looking at some of them, and I was like, oh, are these for sale, or do you just keep them? And he was like, well, what are we talking about? Like, which one are you looking at? And I was looking at these pigs, and there were tons of these little pigs, and my best friend Lily has a whole pig obsession. Everything is pigs and elephants. And so I was like, I'm looking at these little pigs, and I was looking for the weird, I don't know, sometimes you just have to see things, and I like to bring home eclectic gifts for Lily. She has a teeny tiny Mr. Peanut, a flashlight of Jesus, and it's a little keychain, and he lights up so that she always has the light of Jesus. Just weird things like that, like miniature ionic columns. So I was just looking around to see, because it was like striking me, and I found this little teeny tiny old western sheriff, and I'm talking like smoking a cigarette, got his boots on, and I was like, this one, like, how much is it? And he just looks at me and he goes, it's yours. I was like, and he was like, just consider it a gift. And I was like, oh. And then Natalie got to pick out a pig too, and she got a little one playing a lute for her music. And so that was really cool, first interaction. And also he took us into his studio and showed us where he was painting and making all of the birdhouses, and he lives right next door to his shop, and wanted to show us some of the art that wasn't out for display. And so we went into the room of his house, and we were like, well, here we are. So we went in, and he was showing us some art from this man named Jerry. And when we were in Waverly Hall yesterday, I can't believe that was just yesterday, we were talking to a different man, also named Jerry, which is weird. So I was talking to Jerry about an artist named Jerry, the same Jerry, it happens, that Sam was talking about. And we only just put it together because the artwork looked really familiar, and then it was signed in the same way. And then he also was telling us that Jerry, the artist, passed away a couple months ago. And I was like, what? And Natalie was like, oh my God, it's Jerry. And this man was like, you know Jerry? And we were like, we do now. But no, he makes some really cool folk art, and I am going to dig up his last name. Everybody just calls him Jerry. Jerry's how he signs his work. I'm going to dig it up, and I'm going to promote Jerry's artwork. We all know that artists make more after they pass than they ever did while they were alive. So Google Jerry's folk art. It'll be pretty cool. It's kind of amazing. His work is fantastic. So we were talking to him about the town and his little birdhouses, and I totally got off on a tangent there. So Notasulga is a primarily black town, and Sam is as white as they come, and he moved to this tiny little town in Alabama from South Korea, Seoul, and he just wanted to start a new pace of life and do what he loved, which is making birdhouses and selling them. So that's what he did, and he somehow, it wasn't clear when I asked him how he found Notasulga, but he did, and he moved in, and I guess he was just really like inspired by the community he found around him. So he made and sadly this birdhouse doesn't exist anymore. I didn't get to see it, but it was all the figurines on the wall that made me ask about it. A old gospel church, and he had pews, and there must be over 50 little porcelain clay figurines and little pews that went in there just to celebrate this new town that he came to and its community and its people. And I just thought that was beautiful. And he is just so happy to be part of it. And he's on their tiny little main street, right across from a Mexican restaurant. And I don't know, he was very friendly, and he was a great welcome into Alabama. We ate at the Mexican restaurant for lunch. It was absolutely pouring rain when we first got into Notasulga. I'm sorry. Mosses is tomorrow. And so we were like, okay, we're hungry, we're tired, it's raining, Mexican restaurant, let's just go. And everywhere we've been so far, all restaurants, and Alabama's in phase 2, so all restaurants can do, the time change was getting to me, 50% capacity and dine in. So we didn't even think about it at this point. So we got out of the car, got my little raincoat on, looking like a turtle again, and we dashed to the door, and we opened the door, and we look inside, and we're in there, and the open sign was flashing in the window, so we're like, okay. And all the tables and chairs are put up, and there's a family, the family that owns the restaurant, just kind of staring at us. And we were like, hello, are you open? Are we bothering you? And they're open for curbside and takeout only. And we felt so bad that we missed that, missed some kind of sign. And when we came out of the restaurant, we just stayed in the front, ordered our fajitas. Everyone was very, very kind. And they were like, it's raining, we're glad you came in anyways. But I felt so bad about that because they are still taking those COVID precautions, and I just broke them, and it felt so wrong. And eating in restaurants now just feels not back to normal, but a new normal to me. So that just kind of ooh, it got me. It's amazing how in 10 days since we left, how our transition has been from carefully making sure about restaurant guidelines to just assuming and opening the door. But yeah, that definitely reminded me to be a little bit more cautious than I've been the past couple of days about making sure that I'm following specific stores. Well, stores all kind of seem to be the same or have like big signs on the front, but seem to be following guidelines that specific business owners are requesting. Yeah, that really stuck with me. And then we lurked around the post office for a while, because the post office seemed to be the hubbub of town, that and the hardware store. And so standing at the post office, we got to pounce on unsuspecting people. They would just be going in to mail their packages or their letters, and we'd be like, hello, and I'd have my little camera there, trying to convince people to let me take their picture and telling them what we were doing and just getting to talk to them about their town life. And the pandemic has affected each person individually very differently. Same with each business industry very differently, but it's also very interesting to see how specific people in these towns were impacted. One man drives for Pace, and I need to do a little more research about what Pace is, but he drives for the USPS. But there's like a contract there, and he said that his business, he's an independent contractor, and business almost just entirely slowed. That it almost wasn't livable anymore during that time, and he was having to file for unemployment, but there was issues with that because he technically wasn't unemployed as an independent contractor. And that was really interesting too, because that is a big question, because if you are a sole proprietor of a business and your business is closing but you're still employed, there's some weird lines there. And I don't know how Alabama and their state handled all of that. But he was there at the post office dropping things off. And one lady was wearing a beautiful outfit. And I came up to her and I was like, hi, how are you? And we got to talking, and she is an older woman. And the pandemic made her scared to leave her house. It made her scared to go talk to people, to see people, even to like go to the post office or go to places like to her friends or her neighbors. She became very wary of talking to anyone, and she still is. I somehow convinced her to let me take her picture. She has a daughter in Norfolk who lived in Norfolk once. So that helped, because she was very adamant, like, I'm not a picture person. And I'm like, but I can tell you got dressed up to come outside. And she was like, yeah, I don't come outside very often. And I was like, so we might as well take a picture and commemorate the moment. I didn't say that. I said something like that. She conceded, and I got a picture of her in her beautiful outfit. But she said that it entirely isolated her from any sense of her community. And her community revolved mainly around church. And without that, she didn't see anybody. It was just her, and she was so nervous to come to even like a little town grocery store, and her whole life kind of had to shift around this isolation. And I was lucky enough to be quarantined with my family and lived with my father for 6 weeks, and my dog and my 2 cats. So I was never isolated. I like missed my friends, I missed my activities, but I still had someone to talk to and someone to pester and poke and bother and, whine to about all my random things in the day and celebrate with when I won the research grant. But I don't know, I was really taken by that. Some of my friends on Facebook who live alone posted during the quarantine about how they would just love phone calls from anyone. And one other person I know got a cat to keep her company during the pandemic. And I don't know, she's just so scared and still has that fear in her, even though everything's opening up. she's just very cautious. And I think that in the people who are older than my generation or the millennials, I think that the baby boomer generation and the generation above that have right to be so scared. And I think that, especially from talking to business owners, especially like Lee at the gym yesterday, and some of the guys at the hardware stores or the auto body shops, or all of these places we've been talking to, their elderly customers have not come back in consistently yet. And that breaks my heart that we have an entire community of people, an entire age group of people that are just so withdrawn from society right now, and they feel like they have to for their own safety. We were talking to Ethan in Flavilla. He is older himself, but he lives with his elderly mother, and he was just so concerned for her. And I think that some people don't take that fear seriously. There was one man yesterday who, quote, thinks that the pandemic was created to make Trump look like a fool. And I think that it's interesting how it so little affected some people, but other people, it just changed their whole way of life, even in these small towns. And when you talk to most people in these towns, they're like, it didn't really affect me. Or like, it affected my business, but not so much me as like a human, just the economic hardships. But when you really get to the root of the problem and you keep talking and pressing these people, and the longer I spend with them, just standing with them, and honestly the rain has made that a lot easier because I have more of an excuse to just awkwardly stand there in silence until someone says something, and then we get to talking more. I don't know. I've really been appreciating this chance to meet probably over 100 people now I've talked to. Definitely haven't photographed that many. Not as many are photograph friendly. But it's been very interesting and very enlightening to hear all of these people's stories. And I feel so lucky to be able to collect them, if that makes sense. I feel kind of like a store of memories right now. And I just hope I get to do them all justice in my writings and my pictures and reporting back home and to my viewers like you guys. And now I have talked for almost 20 minutes straight. But I also wanted to say that I got to talk to a very diverse community today at the Mexican restaurant. And there were Latino people, and there were Black people working and in the town and shopping, and some white people there too. And today was really kind of the first day, well, yesterday too. Southern Georgia and northern Alabama have been the first places where I've truly felt like there's been a harmonious, diverse community that actually work together. And I am absolutely sure that there are underlying tensions that I have not witnessed. I'm in these places for no more than 24 hours, and you can't get to know a whole place in 24 hours. I've spent most of my life in Charlottesville, and I don't know everything going on there either. But in these 24 hours, I feel like I get a pretty surface level and right beneath the surface level where I'm kind of like looking up at like the sun, but just under the water, feeling about what's actually happening down here. And it is truly eye-opening, and it makes me feel very lucky, and I'm very thankful for this opportunity and the privilege that I'm having to meet all of these people and get to know each one of them. Especially because as this trip's continuing, I myself am a lot more comfortable talking to people and walking up to strangers, and I now have my own little sales pitch about who I am and what I'm doing, and here's why you should let me take your picture and tell me your life story. And I've just been doing a whole lot of learning. And I'm learning, and I feel like every single person I've talked to has greatly impacted my life. And I can tell with some of them that their experience meeting Natalie and myself has impacted them as well. And if it hasn't greatly, it's at least given them good dinner table conversation. So now you've heard me talk for 20 minutes about my day and Natalie's day. And I am signing off for the night because I'm exhausted. I literally cannot believe that yesterday I was in Waverly Hall, Georgia, and today I was in Notasulga, Alabama, and now I'm spending the night in Montgomery, and tomorrow I'm going to Moses, and it has been a whirlwind of an adventure, and I don't know how we are solidly, I'm still getting 8 hours of sleep every night. I don't really know how that's happening, but it is, and we're chugging water, gotta stay hydrated, gotta stay safe, and that's it. Natalie, do you have anything to add for our day?
Oh, God. Sweet Home Alabama. That wasn't funny. It was a long but really good day. I feel like we did a lot of things. It was productive, but it was really good and worth it.
That extra hour.
Yeah.
Around, we were doing great.
The Chex Mix, that's what it really killed us.
There was a good Chex Mix snack we ate in the car, but...
We ate a bag of Chex Mix.
Yeah. But around, 5:45, it hit me. I was like, I need sleep. And now here I am at 9:30 filming this video. But there's our day. Thank you for listening and watching. Maybe this would be a better podcast since I'm just staring at the screen talking. But otherwise, you wouldn't have the delightful view of these orange walls. My computer froze right as I got into a 2-minute long ramble about the color of these walls. So be thankful for that and make an opinion on the color of these walls as you will.
Tomato bisque.
They do look like tomato bisque. I'm not a fan. I don't know. It's kind of overwhelming. But again, make an opinion on the color yourself. You can email me with it. We'll answer you in our next segment. All right, so signing off from today, Wednesday, June 10th. Oh my God, it's Wednesday, June 10th already. And you will hear more from us so soon. All right, thank you for watching / listening.